guys, welcome back to my channel, Simone here. So today I'm going to be filming my favourite book covers, and I've been really wanting to film this video because I think the covers that I find that I really like are often quite different to what other people tend to like. I know a lot of people tend to like the kind of like flowers and like pretty patterns. I personally like really simple covers with like maybe trees in the background and then just like plain words written on it. So I wanted to show you some of my favourite covers that I haven't read yet. These are books that I haven't yet read. I might give you like a quick synopsis, but I don't think I'm going to go into it too much because this is really about the covers, not about the books. But obviously I want to show you the books that I've got that I want to read that I think are really lovely covers. So the first one I have is The Versions of Us by Laura Barnett. This one is a bit more kind of cluttered than ones that I tend to like, but I do quite like the colours of this one. I really like the kind of sort of bluey green colour, and the yellow I think works really well together, and just kind of the block print as well. I just really find it quite aesthetically pleasing, and the patterns in the background aren't too offensive either. I really do like this one. So this book is about Eva and Jim, who are both 19 and students at Cambridge, and their paths cross in 1958 when Jim is walking like along a lane, and a woman approaching him swerves to avoid hitting a dog, and I think it's kind of about that, and I think it's sort of a time travel type one. I'm not really sure though, but like I said, the cover is really beautiful, and I'm really looking forward to reading this one actually. I have had this one for quite a long time as well though, so I would like to hopefully get to it quite soon so that I can enjoy the beautiful cover for what it is. Next up I have a graphic novel, and as you know I'm not really a big graphic novel reader, however I do really like this particular cover and also the artwork in this one. I think it's actually the only graphic novel I own currently, and it's this one, The Wicked and the Divine, the Faust Act, which I think is part 1 of the Wicked and Divine series, which follows, I think it's a load of ghosts, 12 ghosts that return as young people every 90 years, and I think they die within 2 years. I don't really know too much else about it. The cover, the artwork in this is really beautiful. I really like it, and I'm looking forward to reading this one quite a lot. But I really just like the simplicity of this cover. I quite like the sort of burning feather. I think that's quite cool, especially because it's about gods and stuff. I think that's really nice. And yeah, I'm really just enjoying, I like having this on my shelf because it just makes me quite happy to look at. Next up is a book that I read when I was a lot younger, but I really want to reread, and I didn't have this edition when I did read it, and that is The Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I really like this Vintage Classics cover of this because if you don't know, Little Women basically follows 4 girls whose father is in the Civil War. He's fighting in the Civil War, and their family have kind of fallen on some hard times. They don't have a lot of money and they're trying to get by, and it's like I said about 4 sisters, and this sort of depicts each of the 4 sisters, and it's got things around it that are based on their characters. So for example, I can tell this one must be Jo because Jo is a writer, and it's got the quill and the ink, and there's sort of other things to do with each one of the sisters, and I really like that. I think it's nicely depicted, and I just think the colour of it's really nice, and it's quite calming to look at, and I just, like I said, I'm really looking forward to reading this one anyway because I read it like a long time ago, and I really wanted to get back to it. But yeah, I like this cover a lot, and also it has a really cool orange spine, which is just really nice. Then we have a book that has come up recently in my Stand Up to the TBR, which I will link the latest part down below, so it means I will be reading it within the next 3 months, and I really like the cover of this one, even though I'm a bit scared about reading the actual book, and that one is The Final Empire, the first book in the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. Now this cover, I really liked all of the covers that Brandon Sanderson has, and especially this series, because it's quite like stark with the white and the black, but it's always got this like blue through it as well. I think The Way of Kings are quite similar covers, but I think they're red on them instead of the blue. And yeah, I really like this. This is a high fantasy series. Again, I don't really know too much about it. I normally just read the back, but I'm not going to read it again because I'm sure you've heard me read it before. But yeah, I'm sort of scared to read this, I won't lie, because it's quite intimidating. However, it's also massive. But yeah, I just really like this cover, and I also really like the feel of the cover. It's quite like a buttery feel to this, which always is a nice thing to read anyway. Then we have another book that I've had on my shelf since I started my booktube channel, pretty much. What is that, 2 years ago now, maybe even a bit longer, and I love the look of this book, and I really want to read it like quite immediately. and that is Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, and I'm really looking forward to this. I think there's 3 books in the series now, and it's so unique to me. This has like loads of different types of archives and different like media types in this, which I'm really looking forward to reading. And I love this cover. It's obviously like a space type story, and so the cover of this, I really like the orange and the red, and also it looks a bit like stars. I know they're not really stars because I mean it's red and orange, but I just really like it. And I like how the back is a bit darker as well, and I don't know, something about the font of this as well, I just really enjoy it. And again, I like looking at the sides because you can see all the different types of media because they're different colours. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading this one, and I think the cover is really beautiful. Next up is one which is basically the depiction of what I was saying about liking like simple trees in the background and a nice sort of just general text on the front with the title, and this one is In the Woods by Tana French, who is an author I've not read any of, and I really need to because everyone keeps telling me how good she is, and she's a thriller and crime writer, and obviously that's my favourite type of book. But this is really lovely. It's a lovely green colour, and obviously it's the trees in the background with this just quite general, normal kind of plain writing on, which I really like. And yeah, I don't know anything about the actual story of this, but I think it's the first book in the, is it Dublin Murder Squad story? Yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading this. Next up is a book that I have not seen this cover of on BookTube before. I always see a different cover, and I prefer the cover I have, and I actually think it's a really, really beautiful cover. And that is The Wonder by Emma Donoghue, which, yeah, I just really like this cover. The way it's drawn, and the kind of bird and the gold accents on it is really, really lovely. And I don't know, there's something about it that I like to look at. I believe this is about a nurse who goes to, I don't actually know where it is, but she goes basically to see an 11-year-old girl who has sort of claimed that she's not eaten anything for months, and but appears to be thriving basically, and she's kind of gone to try and expose the kind of hoax, if it is a hoax, and try and figure out what's going on. And I have not read Room by Emma Donoghue yet. I keep wanting to read it, but I just haven't got around to it yet. But I think The Wonder sounds really good as well, and if I like Room and I like this one, then that's a new author for me that is a great one. So yeah, I really like the cover of this one, and I just, like I said, I haven't seen this cover from anyone else before, so I don't know if it's like a UK, the paperback edition maybe, but yeah, I really like this cover. Next up is another thriller. I quite like thriller covers generally. I think they're quite simple, like I said before. This one is Final Girls by Riley Sager, which is about 3 girls who are the kind of, have each been involved in a kind of massacre essentially, and they are the final girl, the final survivor out of all these people that have been killed, and each one of them has been in one of those situations, and then one of them is killed and the other 2 start to wonder if they might be next, and it's kind of a thing about that, which again intrigues me in general. But I really like the bright pink on this cover. I don't tend to see this kind of pink on a thriller cover, or any cover to be honest, and I quite like, again, it's got the trees in the background and they're in silhouetted, they're in black, which I like. And yeah, I just really like this cover, and I think it's quite, it intrigues me to read it, which I think is exactly what you should do. The only thing I don't like is this sort of sticker thing here. Is not a sticker, it's actually one of those things that's like on the cover, and it's a lovely quote by Stephen King, but I mean it didn't need to be stuck there, did it? I mean they could have put it on the back, that's all I'm saying. Next up is one I am very ashamed not to have read yet, but I do think the cover is beautiful. I actually only own the first of this series, but I'm looking forward to getting to it because everybody on BookTube has read this series. And that is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. I've actually read a book by Maggie Stiefvater before. I read Scorpio Races, which I thought was incredible, so hopefully I'll like this one too. And again, I seem to have a thing about birds on covers. I think I've had a couple now. But I really like this cover. Again, it's quite a plain cover with the kind of bird on there, and it's quite like a white background. I quite like the ones with coloured accents as well, so like the title being a different colour, or like in this case the name of the author. People say that this book is kind of targeted as being about a girl who, when she kisses her first love, he's going to die. But I've also heard that it's actually not that much about that, and it's about much more than that. It's about friendships, and it's got something to do with discovering a dead king. I don't really know too much, but like I said, I've heard many things about this and I've heard it's really good, so I do want to read this and I really, really like this cover. And then the final one is another one with red accents. It's a plain book and it's a YA book that I haven't read yet that I feel like I should. There's a theme here. And it is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I don't actually, again, know anything about this, apart from it's a YA fantasy book. I've heard a few people say that it's not very original, but then I don't necessarily mind that. I really like this kind of, it sort of sticks out. Is that, what's it called, embossed or whatever it's called. I really enjoy this, like the red on this, although it's blood, it's a bit gruesome, but I kind of enjoy it anyway. And it's this sort of tiara that's covered in blood and it's dripping down, and then you've got the title. And I really just like the cover of this. Again, it's very simple, it's very plain, and I'm kind of okay with that. So there you have it, guys. That is my 10 favourite book covers. I really enjoy looking at covers. I know there's the whole don't judge a book by its cover, but who really doesn't judge a book by its cover, let's be completely honest. I love to look at my books and just enjoy reading them because I think they're really beautiful. And those are the 10 that I really like. Let me know if you have any that you love the covers of, and which editions of these books have you seen? Have you seen any other editions that you like more or less? Let me know in the comments down below. I upload every Monday and Friday at 5 PM, so do come back and check out my channel next time, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and click the little notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. And I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!